After writing $4.25 million commission and signing over 250 listings, I've learned a lot, but there were some big learnings as I became a top real estate agent. This video is for any agent looking to avoid the early mistakes and get a real look of what the industry is like behind the scenes. These are some of the things I wish I knew earlier. Number one, the best agents don't sell, they follow up. What I originally thought is real estate is very difficult to get a property sold once you have the listing, but that was completely incorrect. What I have now realized is that 50% of listings are going to sell regardless, easily, and then maybe about 25% of listings they'll need a bit of strong work to get the property sold. So the top real estate agents do not focus on the skills to trying to get sold. Like, it does take skill, but they don't focus all their effort and skill on there. A lot of their time and energy is spent on follow up and building relationships with the marketplace. And what we find is 80% of listings could come from very good follow up. So you get referrals, you get social media, you get all these different leads that come through. But the most important thing is how strong are you going to follow up with that client? Because it's the multiple follow-up times that result in the deals, the results in the listings. So if you get one client and they're thinking of selling in the next, say, 3 months' time, and you call them once, and then another agent also gets their details and calls them like 5 or 6 times and builds that relationship, they are much more likely to list the property. But let's say you've got their contact for a 1-year period. You send them a text message every week, keeping them up to date with information. You call them at least 3 or 4 times that year. You email them at least once a week through your market update email. And then they get letters and flyers in their mailbox from you. Suddenly, there's about 100 points of contact that you've delivered to that client over a 1-year period. So your relationship with a client, even though you might not know them too well, they know you really well. So it's all about the follow-up and strategy of following up with multiple people. So the top agents actually build relationships and have a stronger follow-up with more people in the long term. They're actually following up with sometimes 10,000 people at one time. There's 10,000 people in the database. They're text messaging 4,000 or 5,000 people every week. They're calling 200 people per week, just them. Then they got their team calling another 1,000 people every week. So their follow-up is relentless because people's situation changes all the time. Every 3 months, someone's situation changes. They might say, I'm never selling for the next 20 years. Never, never, never. And then 3 months later, someone dies, or they want to move to overseas. They want to move to Australia. Something happens, then they're going to sell. Number 2, you will not succeed solo. And real estate is a team sport. The most amount of time and energy you can get into your team and your business, the better. Because it's all leverage. If you can only spend, say, 20 or 30 minutes phoning every day, or let's say you spend 2 hours and you speak to maybe 20 people that day. If you only put 20 points of contact out, it's very tough to build that market share and the mind share in the consumer's mind. But if you can create leverage, so there's a few ways that we can create leverage. First in cold calling, next is getting someone else to call for you. So this is start to build that associate team. And then you've got the letterbox. So then we're going to be sending out letters or flyers in the marketplace. Or let's say you do 200 per day. So a new agent, 200 per day, that's going to be, say, 1,200 every single week. That's 1,200 more opportunities of someone going to give you a call because they looked at your data, they've seen your name, they've seen your phone number, seen your face. Now there's a chance if they're thinking of selling, let's say they decided last night, I'm thinking of selling now. They're going to get your flyer. Okay, let me give this guy a call. That's how quick people can decide whether to give you a call based on the flyer. Or they've received your flyer 20 times through the year and they think, yep, we're going to sell now. We're going to choose 3 agents. The first one is that guy who called me last week. Said, yep, you can come through. Second guy is the person that I see on Facebook all the time. Third one, I get 20 flyers from this guy, so I'm going to give him a call. So if we can leverage people, time, and then our prospecting avenues, that's going to give us more opportunity to win. So we can do an easy exercise. Every single week, we can put a tally of how many people you spoke to, how many flyers you delivered, how many views you've had on Facebook, how much money you've spent on Facebook, how much money you've spent on Google ads, and you can work out the number of impressions you've had in the marketplace. So some of the top real estate agents in the world that would write, say, $10 million commission or more. I know one guy writes $10 million commission. He's doing 4,000 text messages per week. He's doing 70 to 100,000 letterbox flyers every single week. He's spending, I think, $20,000, $30,000 per week on Facebook ads. Per week. He spends almost $1 million on Facebook ads every single year. And he's doing door knocking around the area as well on the current listings. So that's an indication of the volume. 10,000 properties listed and sold get a flyer in the letterbox, just to give you an idea. If we work out the amount of touch points he gets through the week, it is huge. massive compared to another agent that does 20 calls every single day for 7 days. What's that? 100, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So 114 points of contact out. And this guy's getting over 100,000 or more points of contact every single week. Number 3, self-development is non-negotiable. The top sports people in the world are practicing 5-6 days a week, every single week, just to be in the championship, be in the world final, be in the Olympics, because they're practicing every single day. Us as a real estate agent, let's say you get your license, takes you 3 or 6 months, you get your license, you're like, oh yeah, I'm a real estate agent, good. Well, that's not the real knowledge. The real knowledge is practicing the dialogues, the scripts, practicing your listing presentation, mindset, and doing enough volume of practice to become a better real estate agent. The reason we do practice is also for mindset, because real estate is not complicated. You need discipline. You need discipline to do the work. You need to be a strong-hearted and strong-minded person, because if someone's going to lose $100,000 or they're stressing, they're trying to negotiate all this money, there's millions of dollars being thrown around, people are in a super high stress situation. So the more that we can focus and be emotionless, still have empathy for someone, but then we don't want to be consumed by all these emotions that people are bringing through. We want to be like a strong rock for the buyer and the vendor, because the more stronger we can be, we are the professional, we're here to hold it down, and we're here to maximize the sale price over there. And that comes from training. So if we look at our real estate calendar year, we should be training 5 days a week minimum, sometimes 7 days a week. And what does the training entail? If you could do 30 minutes at minimum, this is like the bare minimum of self-development training. What it could be a podcast, it could be videos, it could be some sort of real estate knowledge, self-development that you can watch and learn. Now, where do we find this information? You can go on YouTube. You can go on the Real Estate Gym. Tom Panos, one of the top trainers in the world, he interviews over 1,000 real estate agents, or maybe not 1,000, but over 100 real estate, 200 real estate agents on how they achieve success. So by watching those videos or his interviews, we can copy that model from the agents. Then there's Josh Vegan, another top trainer in Australia. And then we've also got Ryan Serhant's got his training platform. We've got Tom Ferry, another top trainer in the world. So there's huge amounts of knowledge everywhere. I would try focus on a trainer that has sold similar amounts of volume in the same similar area to yours. So it could be similar price range. And that's very important, because if you're going to follow knowledge from a guy who sells $10 million properties versus knowledge from a guy that sells $1 million properties, their systems are going to be very different. So if we always focus on the $10 million system, but I'm only selling $1 million properties, that's going to be different. So I would try to see which agent is selling the most, or which trainer is giving me the most valuable information for my type of value of property, because then that could scale up. And that's what worked for us. We focused on Josh Teslin. He sold $1 million commission his first year, $2 million his second year, $3 million his third year. And all that knowledge we copied, and we wrote 1.1 within 16 months. We hit 1.87 million in our third year. So we wrote $4.2 million commission in our first 3 years by copying a system where he's got similar price range properties to us. So the learning of the skills is important, but following mentors and copying their results is the fastest way to success. Because if we think we're all clever and yep, I'm good, I can do it myself, I'm going to learn it and I'll figure it out myself, versus the other guy who says, where's the top guy? I'm going to sit next to him, I'm going to watch his videos again and again and duplicate it. That's going to get you faster success, because he's already figured it out, or he's learned from other people and figured it out sooner. So copy the success, duplicate it, and you'll achieve it a lot sooner. Number 4, your income reflects your conversations. You don't get paid to look busy. You get paid to talk with people that are going to transact their property in the future. And this is what a lot of agents get wrong, is that they think by working on their social media, typing away on their keyboard in the morning, they're going to be productive. But the most important thing that you should be doing is speaking to someone that owns a property or has got an intention to buy a property. We focused on people that are looking to sell a property, because in New Zealand, the structure is that you get paid 100% commission if you sell the property and only 30% if you bring the buyer to the property. So it's a lot more advantageous to just sell properties only. So if we look at the top real estate agents in the whole world, they are having more conversations with potential sellers or people that are going to get them paid. And that is either conversations on the phone, conversations in person. So it's called belly to belly and ear to ear. And we want to have the most conversations or the most connections, because then we're building longer relationships. Another thing to realize is that we don't have a long conversation with someone with no no intention. So if someone says, look, I've got no intention to sell, maybe another 10 years time, and then they start talking about random topics, they talk about religion, they're talking about all these random stuff, we want to end that call pretty quick. Oh, sorry, I've got to go to a meeting. I've got another appointment coming up. We'll chat later about this. We want to finish up those conversations because time is our most valuable asset. Time is your asset. If you're going to waste time with people that are not motivated or someone with no intention and spend 10 minutes speaking to them, what's going to happen in the next 2-3 minutes is that you could have called, over that 10 minutes, you could have called 2 or 3 more people, got connections with more, booked in an appointment, and sold one of their properties. So valuing your time is hugely important, and also condensing our conversations. If we can say the same message in 1 or 2 sentences versus 10 minutes, we want to do 1 or 2 sentences because time is always money. Deliver the message, create the impact, keep quiet, let them answer, move on. And number 5 is the 80-20 rule. Most agents do not know what this is. So what it is that 80% of people that are going to sell their property, they are going to focus on the top 20% of agents. So what that means is if we're going to be wanting to list more properties, we need to pair up and associate ourselves with the top 20% of agents because they provide confidence to the consumer. Most consumers, when they sell their property, they do some research. They see how many have they sold, what type of person are they actually going to not mess up my property sale? So if we're a very new agent, we haven't sold anything, that consumer is going to really dig deep into our profile. I see, look, this guy's sold nothing. He's got no experience. He's not that good at what he does. But if you can associate yourself with a top agent and say, this is the team that you get, we're going to work together. You probably might share, say, 30, 40, 50, 60% of the commission, but that's okay because you're going to be guaranteed that listing. The first few months, I went to around 200 appraisals. I didn't pre-qualify them properly. So the first step is pre-qualifying people and make sure that they are actually qualified to want to sell their property. And the next step is bringing a person who's going to sign up the listing. If you bring an agent through that's not that good and you lose the listing, you learn almost nothing. Well, you do learn a lesson. You learned, okay, we shouldn't do that because now we've lost it. So that's the important thing, the 80-20 rule. And one last thing is with the listings is that we need to just realize that 30% of listings, we are never going to win. It's impossible. The consumer, they've chosen an agent. They don't want to choose you. They're just going to get you as a second opinion and they're going to choose that other agent originally. Those, don't worry about that. If you lose a listing over there, that's fine. If you lose a listing, that's good. Every week you should be losing a listing. If you're not losing a listing every week, you're speaking to the wrong people. So 30% of listings you should get, 30% you won't get. And then the other, say 40% is it's fair game. If you need to display your talents well, you need to give a good crack at it. You need to be professional, well presented, and also display that you're going to work harder and also get a better result for that vendor. And that is how you get the results.